We're live.
It says it's
Hey,
live.
yeah, it is. We're live. Hey, folks. It is Lisa Ziegler from the Gardener's Workshop, and I am joined here by good friend Dave Dowling. Hi, Dave.
Hello. Hi there, Lisa. How you doing?
I am good. How are you? So, we are broadcasting live tonight to answer questions about Dave's course. And I'm just going to dive right in because we're only here for 30 minutes because we have another appointment following. So, we want your questions, friends, if you have questions about the course. So, Dave's course is called Bulbs, Perennials, Woodies and More. And if you are not familiar with Dave Dowling, Dave is an icon in the cut flower industry, 20-year plus commercial grower in Maryland, growing in houses, fields, hoop houses, greenhouses, sold year round. So I hate to kind of like blow your head up there.
Right. You can Google me. I show
And
all kinds of stuff shows up on Google.
but we sometimes assume everybody knows. And Dave and I are flower farmers. We've been doing it about the same amount of time. And I actually published Dave's course. And so, in a nutshell, you can go on over to the Gardener's Workshop after this and check out Dave's course. And I'm pretty sure that one of our crew members is going to actually post a link right in the comments. But Dave's course is one of our big ones. It's 6 weeks long. And what does that mean? People hear that and think, oh my gosh, 6 weeks. Well, what that means is over a 6 week period on every Friday starting, what was it, Dave?
July 8th. July
July
8th.
8th is when the school class starts. On July 8th, when you log into your online library, lo and behold, there's going to be several hours of lots of little sessions of different topics. And then the following Friday, guess what? You get another boatload. And that happens every Friday until you're complete. In addition to that, you get weekly Q&As with Dave. I will tell you that his course is set up like an encyclopedia. It is incredibly easy to reference. But you can go over to his course page and learn a lot more about that. So what we want to talk about tonight is those big old question marks that are in people's minds, right? Dave's going to talk about maybe a couple of his students, but I want to just throw out there a couple of really common questions or things that people think they can't take the class. The number one is, can they afford to take the class? Dave? So big picture. The course is, first off, $595. That is a lot of money. That sounds like a lot of money, but let's talk about what that can save you and what that means to a commercial grower.
The first big mistake they don't make because they took the class, where that means they found a way to buy supplies, whether I'm talking bulbs and perennial plants wholesale from commercial suppliers as opposed to going to the local garden center or, God forbid, Home Depot, just to know how to buy the stuff, where to find it at the better price, what varieties to buy. Nothing's worse than planting a whole bed of perennials and think, okay, I got all these great flowers now, and they're all varieties that are 12 inches tall because you planted the wrong one. So you learn things like that can save you from making big mistakes that are usually costly mistakes.
Well, and I'm a numbers person, so much to a fault. I mean, when I hear $595, I instantly think, all right, that's either one 20-week subscription that I have to sell to pay for it, or that's X number. I mean, that is less than one standing order with our biggest commercial customer
right.
all those years. I mean, you have to start thinking like a business person when you want to become a business person, right? I mean,
but that can be one weekend's worth of sunflower sales if you plant enough sunflowers.
Yes. I mean, folks, if that's what's holding you back, we really urge you to understand that if you really do want to start a business, this is one of the stepping stones that will help you get there and actually save you money. But so let's just say you don't have all of it to enter right now to enroll. We do offer a payment plan, and when you go over to check out, it comes up and it gives you the option to payment plan or to just pay for it. And we've done that because we know there's people that don't, that is a lot of money, especially when you're first starting out.
Right.
But friends, my famous line, we don't know what we don't know.
Right. Also want to point out that because you're running a business, a cut flower business, it is a business expense to take educational courses. So you spend that $600 on the class, and you're going to save basically $200 on your taxes because you get to claim it as a business expense.
Yeah. And, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So that's the first one. I just wanted to lay it out there for people. You can afford it if you're trying to go in business. There is a way. And then we offer a 2-payment plan. So the other thing, Dave, and this is really, I feel like this is one of the steps that people, particularly that are new to business, don't really understand. They are the only person that can make their schedule, that can change their schedule, that can choose what gets done during a day. And what I'm talking about is the number one thing that we hear from people when they hear that your class starts, the first week in July, basically, or a little bit later. Holy cow, that's in the middle of the season. Well, it is. But before Dave dives into why we chose that, I want to say that, friends, you are the only person that can decide what you do in your day. And that's a big part of becoming a business person. But also, the other thing is you can pick and choose which parts of the course you look at right now. You can speed through it, particularly the way it's set up. So, Dave, before I get off on a tangent on that, you go ahead and tell them about time and all that good stuff.
Part of the reason we do it in the summertime is so that you can put a lot of the stuff that you learn in the class into action right away. We talk about planting perennials as either plugs later in the summer or in the fall, planting fall bulbs. Woody shrubs, you need to order them in the fall to get them shipped to the next spring as bare root. So it's the kind of stuff that if you wait and take the class in January, February, you've missed a whole nother season, another year of getting the stuff started.
That is just such a good point. So the thing that I think that I've heard, I'm thinking right now of my friend Emily, Nicole, that took your class, and Jonalyn. Both of them talked about how they struggled when the school was going on, because they were building their farms up, they wanted to go to the next level. But then it was like a gift from heaven, exactly the word used, when winter came and they had the course to sit down and just take it at one little step, right?
Right. Each week's course, you don't have to watch all 8 or 9 or 10 little videos. You can watch the ones that you need to know now and skip the one. If you know you're not going to be planting tulips because you don't have any place to sell flowers in early spring, you don't have to watch the tulip one yet until maybe in a year or two.
Yes.
When you have a market and you need flowers in March and April, and then you can watch the tulip section and learn how to grow those.
Yeah, so those are the really 2 big burning questions that our inbox gets stacked with. Do I have time? And I can't afford to take the class. And frankly, if you're going into business, you can't afford to not to take the class. And that's the thing that, I think that people just don't get. So, Dave, let's talk about what kind of person is right for this course. Who, in your mind, is the person that should take it?
Well, anybody who's just starting out in a cut flower career or having a cut flower farm, especially anybody who's taken your class that was just about annuals and getting the farm set up, this takes you to the next level because you don't talk about perennials and bulbs in your class or any of the woodies. And that's crops, the bulbs, perennials, and woodies that can extend your season longer in the year, starting earlier, ending later, and also just increase what you have to sell throughout the year. And we all know that the more you have to sell and the more varieties you have to offer, the more you will sell. And then also somebody who might be already growing for 2 or 3 years and hasn't really gotten into growing bulbs and some of the perennials, and especially woodies. A lot of people don't think about planting shrubs to use as in a cut flower farm, but there's so many things that are not necessarily a flower, but a filler or a green that is a woody shrub that you would use.
Right. All right. So Gretchen has a question. I'm going to bring it up here. Hi, thanks for doing this. If you're taking questions and most interested in understanding how relevant this course will be to a beginning flower farmer on 2 acres west-facing sloped site in Montana, Zone 4, We have started with annuals, but think perennials will be the most effective strategy for this property. So the course is very appealing. However, I want to make sure this course will include the most important considerations for our site and climate. Take it away, Dave.
Yeah, it'll cover perennials and bulbs and the woody shrubs for pretty much any climate, zone 3 and warmer up into, zone 8 and 9. And it is relevant no matter how big your farm is, whether you're doing 1 acre or 10. The instructions how to grow a crop is the same whether you're growing 50 of them or 500. So it's definitely relevant to somebody on a 2-acre farm and just starting out and wanting to get into the perennials and woodies.
I mean, didn't we just do an interview with, where was the guy we talked to? I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. The one we just.
Tim and Betsy from up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of the state. Yes. They took both of our classes only 2 years ago, I believe. And they have gone from 0 to 1,000 in 2 years to where they're planting and selling so much stuff. They're both working full time on the farm, so it's a career for them. They have a young kid that's, I think, 2 years old or 3 that, is a handful at times, I'm sure. But they have gone from basically just a small little farm to where they're doing acres of cut flowers, woodies, perennials, peonies, everything you can imagine, and selling a ton of flowers.
And selling.
Yes, growing stuff in crates.
And so thank you, Gretchen, for that question. So Dave, what about this one? Do you cater for Southern Hemisphere class members who are in winter right now?
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of applies, right?
Yeah, I've had students from Australia, New Zealand, the other side of the world, so to speak. The only thing is, usually when I'm talking, I will say spring and summer. I'm not necessarily saying plant April 15th. I'll say, plant in early spring. So it would still apply to you. It's just 6 months later.
It's so true. And I know that I had a lot of students in Australia, and they just flip it. I mean, they seem to be very applicable to do that,
Right.
I mean? All right. So here's a question from Andrea. I live in a very dry state, Utah. Planted my dahlia tubers a week ago, and we're now in 90s. How often should I water before they break the sprout? Go ahead, Dave. We're not supposed to answer those kind of questions, but we'll answer it.
One really good watering, you plant them, and then no more water unless they're starting to have leaves and roots that need the water. If you say you're in the 90s, the soil's warm enough, they're going to grow even if there is no water. You've given them enough to wake them up, and they should break the surface. She said that was a week ago. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 weeks before they actually sprout and break the surface. But no more real water other than rain, unless it doesn't rain for a month, then you need to water them. But if you give them a really good water when you planted them, no more until they're up and sprouted.
All right, Dave. So let's talk about a couple of your students that kind of what they've done. I tell you who's jumped in my mind, and it's only because I saw them on a video today, and they're down in Hilton Head taking a helicopter ride. It's Daniel of Petals.
Yes.
Daniel has taken our courses, your course and my course, but let's talk about yours, and is like, oh my gosh, tell us about Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel will tell you that before they bought their farm, he had never farmed before. I don't think he maybe even been on a farm, and wanted to learn about growing cut flowers. So he took Lisa's course and then took mine soon after, and they are now shipping flowers across the country, growing almost year round. They have ranunculus in early March and go all the way up until frost or a little bit after. Just growing a huge amount of flowers and doing really well at it. And for somebody who basically admits he had never grown anything before to, being a real flower farmer now.
Yeah. And, that is so very true. And Daniel has said over and over, the confidence level that comes. And I'm also thinking about Nicole Pitt said to me the other day, she said, we out of the blue got baptismia, some plugs. And she said, literally, I'm standing out in the field. I pull my phone out and go to Dave's course, go to that subject. And what does Dave say we're supposed to do to this?
The spacing she was looking for. Right.
Yeah. And I think that is just something that really people just don't really understand. And, the one group of people that we have seen year after year, not only in your class, but in a couple of our classes, is we have really avid gardeners that have even taken the class, right? I mean,
yeah, if you get a really dedicated home gardener that really likes the garden, doesn't just like to see the garden, but wants to go out and work and play in the garden, quite a few of them have taken both your class and mine.
I mean, especially those people that want to grow cut flowers, whether they're growing them for church flowers every week or the garden club. So the folks that this course is really right for, I guess I would say, are those people that are venturing into this that want to expand what they're already doing primarily. I mean,
Right.
it's not that anybody has to take my class before your class, because all of our courses are standalone courses. However, you need to have some basic understanding of gardening, right?
Yes. Although they learned that in your class, Daniel's evidence to that. But
Yeah.
it helps to understand the gardening, as far as watering and fertilizer and that kind of stuff. But we pretty much teach you what you need to know to be able to grow the crops that we talk about.
So here's a good question. Petals and Greens, does it matter the order in which you take your classes, Dave before Lisa's, vice versa? Not really. I mean,
No.
because it's two different subjects.
Right. The only thing I can say is that your class, if somebody does not already have the business started, your first week, I think it's your first week, is really into the nuts and bolts of starting the business and doing it right. So if somebody is green under the, has never started the business and is just thinking of getting started, your class first would be helpful just as far as getting the business set up right and correctly. But other than that, there's no reason you have to take one before the other.
Because here's the thing. I mean, first off, y'all, we have tried to align it so that his comes after mine. But because of the main reason that we show Dave's course in the middle of summer is, as he mentioned earlier, so you can make the most out of what you're learning to actually do it, right? But the thing about the courses is, while you're going to watch them and your brain's going to explode because there's so much information, it's when you revisit it again and again and again, period. I think the courses are more valuable a year after you've taken them. You've watched it. Now you're doing it. Now you're thinking, oh my gosh, didn't they say something about that? And you go back and watch it again. That following winter is when you really sink your boots in. That's what Emily would say to me. She said, I chewed on Dave's course. The winter, she took it 2 years ago. The second winter after she took it, she said, I was so better prepared for the information and making it use of. Well,
I was also going to say, there's, like, if you look at the perennials that I include in the class, I don't recommend anybody who's not already growing perennials to all of a sudden add those 30 or so varieties all in the first year, because you end up with nothing but a field full of weeds. So you're going to add just a few each year. So every year you can go back to the course and say, okay, I want to add these 4 more perennials. Here's how to grow them. Here's the varieties I should grow.
So here's a question. I'm having to work a full-time outside farm at the moment as we have too many bills. That's the story of all of us, isn't it? Can I pose questions to you after a live Q&A? So that is a great question, because yes. So the live Q&As happen the Thursday night, right, Dave?
Thursday night, a week after the class drops.
Right. So that way you have the maximum time to watch it. However, if we have an optional Facebook closed group, not only for during the live school class, but after school is over, we have this big alumni closed group that you are able to join. And that's where you can connect with Dave after the course is over. And it's got multiple years of students in it now. And you just can't believe the networking, the help, the support. I don't know about you, Dave, but so often in my closed group, sometimes by the time I get to somebody's question where they tag me, 6 of your students have already answered, and they've like spoken your words.
And given the right answer, right.
Exactly. Yes. So yes, you can get answers to your questions. We do feel like that is a super unique part of our courses, is the fact that you have direct contact through the it has to be, Facebook is the only option. So if you're not a Facebook user, I'm sorry, but you can join Facebook and only use that group. You do
Right.
not have to
You
participate
can,
in the rest of it.
you-
Because friends, I will tell you, we have pursued other options, and I know other course developers that have tried it, and you just can't get the services that Facebook provides you
Right.
without the glitches. So to answer your question, yes, you can get questions answered after the course is over. I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk and read questions at the same time. So we already answered that. So here's a question, and I will answer this. Do you teach shipping methods in the course? No, we do
no, you
not.
don't. Mm-mm.
I mean, that is a major curve all into itself. And I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a course out there somewhere, but that's not something Daniel and our other friend Harmony Harvest, both of them kind of got pushed into shipping because of COVID.
Right. And I think Harmony Harvest actually at one point had a course that's short course or video
Right.
presentation about how to pack flowers and ship them. So you might check that and ask her if she still has that.
That's a really big deal. So friends, if you have any other questions related to the course, here we go. Kathy's Flower Patch. Thinking of flower farming in Zone 9B. You mean that's not 9B California? That's Dreamland, is what that is.
Yeah, 9B. You get a chilly winter, and that's about it. But yeah, there's definitely most of the bulb crops can be done there. The tulips might need some pre-cooling, but I talk about how you buy pre-cooled tulip bulbs. A lot of the perennials do fine in 9B. So yes, and most of the woodies do fine there also, other than lilac is the only one that I can think of that wouldn't work.
Yeah, and then here's another great one. I'm in Northwest Florida, Zone 8B is the class for me. Where's Jonalyn?
Yeah, Jonalyn, she lives right there.
Yeah.
So yes.
So, I think nobody lives where you can grow everything.
Right. There's no such place.
Some of us like to try to push the envelope to do that, but it doesn't always work out very well. And I think that's part of one of the gifts, y'all, of taking a class from somebody like Dave that just has such depth of knowledge and experience, is the vast number of people he's in touch with to know what, oh yeah, so-and-so in, California or in 9B. I mean, we don't talk about specific places, but he talks about growing conditions and regions. And so you are quite welcome. Kathy says, thank you for that. So I'm just looking to see if we've overlooked any more questions here about the course. So the one thing I want to just say again, friends, if you head over to thegardenersworkshop.com and go to Dave's online course, it's easy to find. And there's links here on Facebook and on the YouTube link. And read the reviews. We love for our students to share their experiences, and they're willing to do it. You can literally probably post on social media, I'm thinking about this class. Has anybody taken it? And get opinions and experiences, So I'm just looking back here. So again, the registration is open. It opened this morning at 8 a.m. And it's open until Monday night at midnight. The class is $595. There is a payment plan. You can watch at your convenience. However, it's very beneficial to attend the live Q&As if you can. The Q&As are also recorded and put into your library. And friends, if you took my class more than a year ago or Dave's class more than a year ago, there is such a new format for the Q&As. It's a PowerPoint. Yeah. It's time stamped, so you can actually search to find topics, and it is so blooming amazing. And so our Q&As are usually an hour to 2 long, right, Dave?
Right. Usually about an hour and a half. Plus, the other thing is in the class, you don't only get this year's Q&A, but you have all the ones in the past classes there also if you want to sit and listen through those and watch them.
And this is what you do during blizzards and snow. You know what I mean? It's like these are the things where you just learn so much stuff. because, I was listening to Nicole and Ma's podcast looking for something earlier, and she said the Facebook group was so valuable to her. She said, I didn't even know I had those questions till I saw other people asking those
Right.
questions.
Someone else asked a question for you.
Yeah, and that's what's also really helpful about the Q&A. And basically, this is what I feel like Dave and I can say to you. You're not going to have unanswered questions. That's pretty much what
Right.
our promise is to you. That's, when you really want to help people and you're a teacher at heart, and, we've tried to provide all the resources, and we just don't ever want that to happen. And let's just say it does happen. That's when you shoot an email to the office and say, hey, my question got overlooked or missed. Technology happens, y'all. And so answering your questions, I think, is something that really sets us apart from other questions and other courses. And so I did already say that home gardeners really have a big benefit. I think of me 5 years from now, retired, having just a mega garden. Oh my gosh, take it to the next level, like you're not going to find in a gardening course, right? These perennials and woodies and such. So Dave, what else are you thinking of a special student, maybe somebody that's a different circumstance that, I'm thinking of people that had been farming for several years that took the class and it changed their life.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of Nicole Pitt, that's Flower Hill Farm up in New York, where she just recently posted a picture of her tunnel full of ranunculus. And she said she wouldn't have ever thought to do it or been brave enough to do it without taking the class. And she had buckets and buckets of ranunculus this spring in her high tunnel.
Yeah, she's out there cutting as we speak. She's in upstate New York, so she's so far behind me.
Right.
When I saw Iceland poppies blooming in her tunnel, I thought, oh my gosh, that must be an old picture. And she said, nope, this is me this morning. It took 4 years to get there, but that's what she's doing. So friends, let me just go down here to the bottom and make sure we haven't had any more questions. So I'm in, here, I keep forgetting I can bring them up. I'm in Quebec, Canada. Do you have a lot of Canadian alumni? Yes.
Yes.
In both of our classes. And we even include Canadian resources in our classes.
Right.
And if on the event that there is something that's not on our resource lists that you're searching for, that's when you either post it in the Facebook group or you ask it at a live Q&A. So somebody says, I can't retire. So I'm a home gardener and excited that I've enrolled to learn about woodies, perennials, bulbs, and more. I will also say, I want to just give a warning. You might become a flower farmer after you take it.
Right.
Because you just can't believe all the information and how things are done so differently. And it's just, anyway. Yeah. All right. So Facebook user, does it cover some marketing as well? I think, Dave, you kind of speculate a little bit.
A little bit here and there. There's no one subject or topic on marketing, but often I'll talk about each crop or some of the crops or how you would market it.
And Dave kind of comes from a unique perspective because he was one of the main flower vendors at the DuPont Circle Farmers Market. If y'all don't know where that is, that's the DC Farmers Market that, there's a waiting list until eternity to get into that.
Open year round.
And he sold year round. And oh gosh, Dave, I can remember all of that when you were going through. Anyway, I'm trying to read the questions, any questions that we have here. So to answer your question, there is not a dedicated session or class on marketing, but he speculates it through. My course is the one that's on marketing and depending on what you're, who you're selling to, right? All right. So here, Dave, is why on Clubhouse, I had us talk about what are bulbs, what are perennials, and what are woodies. What is the distinction between woodies and perennials?
A perennial is going to die down to nothing in the winter. So you clear up all the dead plant and it grows back from the root. whereas a woody has a woody stems and trunk that survives and sprouts from that every year.
Like a shrub.
Like a shrub. A woody is a shrub.
Is a shrub, and a perennial is like a peony that dies down,
Dies
looks
back.
like it's history, but it comes back the next year.
Correct.
And you can go over to the course page and see the syllabus, read reviews, and friends, we just invite you. We're heading over to Instagram now to do basically the same thing we've just done here. So please head over there and join us if you would like. But this course is only offered once a year, and it's only enrolling for 5 days, 4.5 days now. And we don't want to hear from you next Wednesday that you missed it.
Right.
And, I mean, for building your business, this can be the next step. And time to head over to Instagram. Thanks, everyone. So that's my signal from Jesse.
Okay.
Hurry up, Lisa. All right, friends. We will see you again and see you over on Instagram at 7:30. Ciao, Dave.
Bye-bye.
See you in a minute.
See you in a second.